First of all, I want to welcome you to our Park Avenue Safety Meeting. Thank you very much, business owners, community members that are taking time out of your day. Thank you to Chico Country Day for hosting us, and also thank you to the Police Department, Chief, and everyone being here today. I'm going to turn it over to Principal Margaret. Hi, my name is Margaret Reese, and I'm the Chief Business Officer for Chico Country Day School, and I'm in charge of our facilities, community outreach, and a bunch of other stuff. I'd like to introduce Stuart Langford over there, who's our school facility manager. So maybe some of you in the neighborhood have seen us out and about. We were fortunate to purchase this building in 2011 and revamp it, and now it's our middle school. So we have 6th through 8th graders in this building. And we were also fortunate to receive a grant, hybrid, I should say. It's not all grant money, but to redo our school across the street, and that houses our preschool through 5th grade program. So we were really excited to be able to do that and really create a nice community for this wonderful neighborhood that we're a part of. And we appreciate all of you for coming, and thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it. I'll turn it over to you. So I just want to start. My name is Courtney Farrell. I'm the Community Resource Manager for 3 Corps, and I just want to give you a quick background of how we got here before we turn it over so that you can have a direct dialogue with the police department. About 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago now, we formed a partnership between my organization, the Downtown Chico Business Association, the Chico Chamber, and Alliance for Workforce Development, which are our partners in the audience, along with the City of Chico, to help facilitate economic development and business development within the City of Chico. And so one of our tasks that we took on was to do business walks. And once a month, we pick an area in the city, and we go out and we meet and talk with you and hear what's going on, any challenges, needs that you may have. And we have been communicating that back to the city and the police department. One of the things that we've heard especially in the last year, is safety is a top concern, not only for our businesses, but also our community. And so what we decided to do about 8 months ago is hold meetings like this, where business owners, community members like yourselves can meet directly with our police department and have that open dialogue. So one of our missions, of our goals, is to help establish that communication, let you know that you are heard, let the police department, speak with you, like I said. So that's how we got here. This is we've decided our 5th meeting that we've done like this around the community. We will be holding a couple of others in other parts of the area with facilitation just like this.
November 17th is the downtown public safety meeting, 9 to 10 in the morning.
So November 17th. And so we started on Nord. We did Mangrove area, Park Avenue, downtown. We'll be moving to Rio Lindo. So areas that we recognize that these types of facilitated meetings are really critical. So I'm gonna turn it over to Chief O'Brien and have him give you an update, and then we're gonna want to hear from you. And Melanie's gonna help us take that information down. We do have surveys for you to take, so if you want us to contact you directly, if you have issues that you think we need to hear about that you may or may not want to talk about today, please write that down and leave it at the back, or you can send it in to us. There's information on the bottom. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I appreciate everyone coming. I am Chief Michael Bryan, and I've got Lieutenant Rob Merrifield off to my right and my left, Sergeant Scott Possession, and I'll talk to you about their roles here in a second. But this is our 6th, I think, public safety meeting, if I'm not, about 6 that we've done throughout the community in the last several months. So these are very important to us as a police department. I think they're very important to the community in general, because we need to hear from our constituents, and that is all of you guys. And I would imagine when we open it up to you that we're going to hear quite a few different concerns, and that's okay. Let me just tell you right off the bat, it is okay. You can tell us your frustrations. Just be honest. I get it. I understand that the community has been frustrated with what I have termed quality of life issues. It is okay. We need to hear that from you guys, and don't be shy. I suspect you won't be, but just so you have our blessing, we want to hear about everything, good, bad, and the ugly. So taking over about 5 months ago, I did realize very specifically that one of the major issues in this community was exactly what I just termed the quality of life crime in this community. People were affected. I think first downtown is really where we started to see the influx. And I'm going to just tell you what my perspective is. I think it has everything to do with prison realignment, AB 109, and then the passing of Prop 47, which did a number of things. It reduced the number of felony crime, drug crimes to misdemeanors, and some other theft-related crime that were once felonies at a certain level now are misdemeanors. And that has put more criminals and more thieves, quite frankly, into our communities, and it's not uncommon. This is not a specific issue just for Chico. Having spoken with a number of chiefs and tracking the state trends, this is going on everywhere in our state, and I think it's important for us, maybe even to help lead the way in finding a way to mitigate some of these issues because they're complex. But they're impactful, and the quality of life crime I'm talking about is the things that you're impacted where you live, where you work, where you shop, and where you recreate. So if you don't feel safe in any of those 4 areas, then that's a problem, and that's something that we want to help address to the best of our ability as a police department, but we also understand that is not going to be us alone. And the whole community-oriented policing model, which we've adopted, and we have reorganized our police department to address, is to bring and facilitate the whole community to bear on certain problems, because it's not just going to be us solving it, it's going to take an entire community to do that. And so that's an important point. And the creation of the targeting, which Rob oversees as the manager and Scott supervises as the sergeant, is a response to this quality of life crime that we have in the community. And so what the target eventually will be, and just so you guys are aware, right now it consists of a sergeant and 2 officers. That's all we can do. As we build back our police department, we're doing it strategically, and you have to do it from a number of different perspectives. You have to have a strong patrol staff. You have to have the infrastructure in place that will support these specialized units like Target. If you don't do that, Target will fail, and Scott will tell you that himself. So as we build back, we're rebuilding our patrol teams, rebuilding back detectives. That's another critical component. But we're also going to expand Target to eventually 6 officers from the current 2. And the design is, the thought behind that is we have 6 beats in this community. 6 beats, geographical beats that we have designated. And what we are going to do is take each one of those 6 target officers and assign them to a specific beat to better facilitate problem solving. And that will include our patrol staff, that will include entities outside the police department, behavioral health, probation, parole, the DA's office, different community groups, service providers. That's the model that we are going to. That's the model we've adopted. Now, we're not fully there now. We can't be because we don't have the staff to completely adopt that, but that's what we're working towards. So this time next year, you should see pretty close to 6 officers assigned to the targeting, which will allow us to better problem solve in each one of those areas in our community. The other thing we've done, and we've done that about 30 days into my administration, is I took one of the captain positions, made one of those captains a lieutenant position, and I have a deputy chief now instead of 2 captains, and really added to the mid-level manager level of the police department so we could provide oversight, watch commander oversight to the 3 districts in our community. And we have 6 beats, like I mentioned, and we have, of those 6 beats, we have 3 districts. So I have a lieutenant assigned to each one of those districts. Rob happens to be assigned to one of those districts. I have 2 other lieutenants that are assigned as well. And that brings what I've called a face to a place for the community to identify. Rob solves problems in the downtown, South Campus, those kind of things, the park. I have other lieutenants responsible for other parts of the city. And that fits with our model as well. So we want to be able to be strategic in our deployment, not only of our management staff, but also of our line staff. And that's the design of community policing, is to facilitate efforts to solve community problems, and that's why we're here today. That's why this is so important, is to hear from you guys directly what's going on. I suspect I'm going to know what I'm going to hear, But I'm not going to know everything that you're going to tell me here today. I'm sure I'm going to be surprised to some degree. But this is important. This is something we're going to continue throughout my tenure as your police chief. I'm committed to listening to this community and responding to the best of our ability with what staff we have. I do provide a little bit of a caveat that we're not fully staffed yet. We have authorization for 92 sworn police officers, but understand it takes a while to take someone from an academy position to a fully trained officer, about a year's period of time. So we have a lot of people in training, a lot of people that are being hired, but we're not fully realizing that hiring yet. But we will, like I said, probably about this time next year. So that's exciting. It's going to allow us to be more responsive, but we are going to respond to the best of our ability with what we have at this time. The other component that I talked about, communication, which is so key. We're looking at different technologies to assist and facilitate that communication. I'm going to have Scott talk about some of the things we're working on technology-wise. Nextdoor and a PD app that should be pretty close to rolling out, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll have Scott address that. And a new CAD RMS system that was approved by the city manager and by the city council last Tuesday. And what CAD RMS is, it's computer-aided dispatch record management system, and you're probably thinking, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, the big deal about CAD RMS is the data collection component for not only your police department, because we need to have data, we need to have information. That's why, again, we're doing this type of meeting. And that data collection is going to be much better and more efficient with this new system. And it will also provide you as a citizen better access to that information. So you, Joe, you live in a certain area of the community, you go online to our CAD system, or RMS, and actually punch up in your neighborhood what is going on, the different levels of crime, bike theft, car burglaries, whatever. He can access that from the comfort of his home and understand truly what's going on in his neck of the woods of our community. We think that's very critical. And the Nextdoor app, like I said, I'll have Scott talk about that. It's just a virtual neighborhood watch. We have someone now assigned to actually monitor that and engage in social media. We know it's important in communication today, not just to rely on normal media outlets. Let's face it, anyone that's under 25 in the room, we've got a few, you do not communicate in the ways that I did when I was 25. It's just changed. I have daughters, I have sons, and everything we used to utilize to get our message out as a police department, guess what? It has changed radically. So it's just the reality of our profession. So that communication piece is important. Meeting face-to-face with our citizens is also important. The city manager and I every Friday walk somewhere in this community and engage with our constituents because we want to hear from you directly. And there's nothing like actually looking someone in the eye and asking them how things are going from their perspective. That's important to us. It's important as a community. It's important to us as a police department. So I think I've talked long enough. I appreciate you guys listening. I'm going to turn it over to Scott to talk about some of the things that we're doing with Target.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Chico Chamber and DCBA and Chico Country Day for facilitating this meeting here. Like the Chief said, we've had several, and we learned something new at each one. It helps us direct our resources to solve some of those problems. Granted, they are very small resources, but we're doing the best we can with what we have. I've been a police officer for 18 years. This is probably the most rewarding time of my career. I'm actually face-to-face with the community in helping solve those problems, and there's nothing like it, good or bad, and I hear it all. So just to give you kind of a nutshell of what I'm doing with my team right now, we're really in the infancy stage of creating a structure within our department that will better serve the community. So a lot of what my team does is identify solutions to both internal organizational structural issues that we're having addressing problems and externally with the citizens. So a lot of what we've done in the last 5-6 months is try to improve communication. And we've done that in a number of ways. We've become more active in social media. You might have seen some of our Facebook posts. They're a little bit more comprehensive now. We'll include more information, more transparency, more photos. People like to see pictures. So it's more engaging in social media. We researched a mobile phone app developer and went ahead and developed a mobile phone app. Granted, we're jumping through some hoops right now to get that app live so that you can download it for free from Google or Apple. But what that app will do, for those of you who use apps, is give you the police department in the palm of your hand. You'll be able to more comprehensively access our directory. So when you have questions, you don't have to go through a phone tree or talk to dispatcher, talk to somebody who doesn't know who. It breaks down that confusion barrier. It'll also allow people to send anonymous tips, look at crime maps that are updated live, from our CAD system. So that's a great feature with that app. We're looking at bicycle registration options on the app. The app is all designed to make communication with the PD easier and increase transparency with the community from the police department. One of the big projects we've worked on is Nextdoor. How many of you are familiar with Nextdoor? So with 2 officers, what we have done is taking Nextdoor and we're able to lay our beat map, our Chico Police Department beat map, 6 beats, on a map, on Nextdoor, and assign the 3 of us 2 beats in those areas. You may have seen some of my posts, some of Officer Ratto's posts, some of Officer Durkin's posts. They'd be here right now, but they're out dealing with an issue. So what we do every day is we come in, we check our messages. A lot of the information that we get is crime and safety issues. We're able to take that information and delegate it to patrol teams who come across those issues during their patrol shift. Some of the issues are trends. That's where my team comes in play. So if I notice a trend, either through online reporting or statistical information that we gather monthly, or through Nextdoor information, we're able to take that trend information and develop a plan, a creative plan to help solve that problem. And we do that with your help, and we do that with other resources within the community. And there are several. And the doors are just opening right now for us to many other resources that we can use to help solve problems. So like I said, a lot of this is still in its infancy stage, and we are building that structure to make the police department more effective in responding to your needs. Chief, can you think of anything else that...
No, I don't have anything else to add to that. I think that says it in a nutshell. Everything to add, Rob.
So I guess right now we can open it up to some questions.
Could you please explain the target team a little bit more?
Yeah, the target team is a specialty assignment that we designed within the police department to more or less spearhead the community-oriented policing model within the community and the department. Right now, much of what we do, like I said, is creating a structure to make community-oriented policing effective within the community. So we develop tools, we come up with problem-solving solutions, we delegate information, we find ways to make communication better between the community and the police department. As far as our mission, well, obviously our mission umbrella would be community-oriented policing within the Chico Police Department. But right now, because we're growing and we're changing and we're learning as we communicate, that mission of target is changing constantly. So it's fluid right now. When we get stabilized with our staffing and we kind of know where we need to be, we'll have more of a clear mission as to where we're going to go with the team.
I think if you were to picture the usual police responses, you get a call about a problem, an officer comes out, deals with the problem for the moment, and then that officer goes on to the next problem. With Target, our thought is that we want to come out and try to find out what started the problem in the first place, and how can we keep from coming back to that same issue over and over again. So if you were to think of it like we're lifeguards and people keep washing by in the river, so we jump in, pull them out, drag them up on the shore. That's the usual police response, is to solve the problem for the moment. But what Target would do is we would send Target upstream, find out how are these people falling in the river in the first place, and try to prevent that, and mitigate it before it becomes a bigger problem. We still need patrol officers to respond to those immediate things that are happening in the community where you need an officer right now, and there are going to be things that we can't anticipate, but those chronic, repetitive problems are the kinds of things that Target is designed to address.
Probably many of the things that we're going to hear this afternoon, I suspect, will be something that Target could help mitigate.
I have two questions. Number one, can you tell us more about the neighborhood watch? Okay. And secondly, can you talk to us more about the gang situation?
As far as neighborhood watch, we have a new community outreach officer. Right now, he's working patrol. We have a community service officer that is going through training. He'll be off training here in another couple of weeks. We'll have that community outreach officer fully placed in the target unit. We have him identified as Ed Nelson. We don't have him placed yet permanently. And his job, one of his main priorities will be to enhance next door and enhance neighborhood watch. And we're okay with either because I think they're both valuable. For some people, they're more comfortable meeting face-to-face in someone's home. That's great. That's a neighborhood watch model. The next door is more the virtual, through your computer contact, and that's fine too. As long as people are communicating with us, we don't care, whatever people are most comfortable with. But that position is designed to enhance both neighborhood watch and next door. As far as the gang situation in Chico, and it's always been and always will be cyclical. And right now that cycle is a little bit down. We hit one of the primary gangs in this city pretty hard about a year ago, and that's, I think, paying dividends right now. So the gang activity is a little bit of a lull right now, which is good. But just so you know, we have over 1,000 gang members, documented gang members in this community, which is significant. Sometimes they are very active and sometimes they're not right now. Like I said, we're in a little bit of a downward cycle. We want to see that continue, but at any time, a certain incident can trigger a number of different shootings. So we do have a gang unit in place that is monitoring that. We're the only gang unit in the county right now. Butte County was unable to continue their gang unit because of a loss of staff. But we have our gang unit in place, a sergeant and 2 officers, and it is my intention to maintain that unit in place because it is so important. And you can have, like I said, in an instant, a number of different gang-related shootings that will affect a community safety. So that's the nutshell on the gang component.
So what kind of crime are you attributing to the gangs?
Gang members typically and traditionally are involved in drug sales, but what goes along with that drug sales then are turf wars and wars that evolve into some kind of violence. So if you have rival gangs, you're going to have fights, you're going to have shootings, stabbings, that kind of thing. It's more violent crime and more drug-related crime. Yeah, you get some theft and some other crime like that, but typically the crime that we're most concerned about as associated with gangs would be violent crime.
Since a lot of the crimes are related to drug use, and in recognition that the target team is fairly small at this point, is the department building relationships with service providers or others that the department can work with to start addressing some of these problems at their root?
We are, and one of the sad things, I'll just tell you first to provide some context, the Prop 47 initiative I had mentioned that was passed recently that took a lot of felony drug crimes and made them misdemeanors, had I think an unintended consequence that people probably didn't think about, and that is the impacts on drug courts. And in the past, and drug courts, by the way, are slowly dying on the vine, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why. One of the reasons is that typically, so Joe gets popped with a little bit of cocaine, it's a felony. He goes before a judge, and the judge essentially tells Joe, you've got 2 choices, buddy. Either you go into rehab or you go to jail. And that was a good deterrent. People typically don't like to go to jail, but you also need to understand typically addicts will need something to motivate them to act. That was motivation. If you're looking at jail time versus rehab suddenly looks very, very attractive. When we made those crimes misdemeanors, essentially that jail component has gone away because with the effects of AB 109, the prison realignment, which pushed some of the state prisoners down to the county level, means that someone had to go. And those people that were once in county jail are now in our communities. And that means that if you're popped for a misdemeanor, you're not going to do a lot of time in jail, if any. And for those people that were looking at jail time versus rehab, guess what? The jail time was no longer an option. And they would just say, yeah, send me to jail. Well, they go in the door and then out the back. So that incentive to get people into drug rehab has gone away. So that makes all of our jobs more difficult, and we have to look at different ways of dealing with some of these issues. So we do value and do understand, like I said early on in this meeting, that it is not going to be solved just by your police department. It has to be a collaborative effort. It has to be a community-wide effort, quite frankly, to deal with some of these things. And included in that group are service providers. Anytime that our service providers can engage and take someone, say, from the criminal justice system and do something that impacts that person's life, that keeps them out of our system, the criminal justice system, that's a healthy thing. And we have those partnerships in our community. We're continuing to develop them. And see, that is the true value of a target team, is that they have the time to make and develop those relationships. A patrol officer, they are going from call to call to call and do not have time to spend on those related. They have a kind of a get in, get out, because the next emergency is waiting for them. Target has more time. They have the luxury of time to go ahead and develop those relationships, find, like Rob said, more comprehensive solutions to some of these long-standing problems that a patrol officer does not have, and that's part of the community or policing part of the target model.
So when we conducted the business walks recently, we actually put on that agenda some of the things that we were hearing from businesses, very generally though, speaking. So this is really an opportunity for all of you to share very specific concerns that you have around your business and along Park and Meyer, so that we can begin to get them up here and address some of them. So I'm sure no one wants to go first, but this is really an opportunity for you.
I'm a business owner. I have a business 2 blocks down. I'm part of the DCBA area, but I'm so far down at this end of town that I don't feel that the downtown issues are affecting me. I have been affected by not only vandalism, but I happen to be emptying garbage and startled somebody sleeping in the bin. So as an individual, not expecting that, it makes me a little nervous. It makes me a little nervous for the persons who work at my business, being confronted by that situation. And in some cases, I'm not sure whether the vandalism is necessarily caused by the persons the homeless that we're talking about, or it's not, or it's caused by kids or whatever. So it's while we try and lump everything into this homeless situation, I feel that, and along with the gang situation, that the other concerns about the vandalism is being perpetrated by kids or by other than homeless people.
And it could be, and that's part of the diagnosis or the analysis of a particular problem. Again, like Rob said, you want to get to the root of it and find out who's causing it and where it's originating. And maybe it's kids walking home from school. Maybe it's, who knows? It could be any number of folks that could be causing some of those issues. And we don't want to jump to a conclusion just because it's convenient. We do want to look at it and analyze it correctly, and then hopefully put some resources to do something about that.
Hi everyone, it's really nice that you came out to our community. My name's Michelle O'Hara. Nice to meet everybody, excuse me. And I do neighborhood watch on my own in the morning and at dusk with my dogs. And I've had 4 residential burglaries since I've been here a little less than 10 years. And I clean up Rotary Park. So I know we have the city come in, but I generally am there before. I'm having problems. Bill Such was fired because he would not tell the people with warrants, felonies, people on the run to leave the property by the board of directors, therefore fired. They group up in the park. What I've been dealing with for the last 2 weeks is a newer person in town, but her dogs are very vicious. They fought with my dogs as I was trying to give them treats to make some peace amongst the homeless in Rotary Park. And I can't go to the park and clean up now. And I've called, an officer's coming down the street just patrolling stuff to say hi. My son's a fireman and an EMT. My mother was a U.S. Marshal, my father was a battalion chief, so it's in my blood a little bit. But I love the neighborhood, I love caring for it. I actually walk the alleys. I worry about the old Catalyst house because there is a massive amount of people living in the backyard. But I ask them if they're okay and don't go back there. I don't want to be hurt.
We had a meeting there at the park with some of the neighbors, and I remember meeting you there. So yeah, that was one of the side effects of being more effective in the downtown was displacing some of the problems that were downtown, and those problems, they didn't just leave town. Some of those got displaced into surrounding neighborhoods, and that's going to happen when you put additional enforcement in an area. Those people are going to go somewhere else, and I think part of the element may have found their way down to Rotary Park because it's a nice little park and a nice little neighborhood. And so, one of the things that we try to address there is that there is a limit to what the police can do. So if someone calls up and says, hey, there's people hanging out in the park, we'd be like, well, yeah, that's why we built the park. That's for people to hang out in. So when we go and look at those problems, there are certain things when we drive by that we can address. So drinking, smoking, dogs off leash, littering, camping, actually laying out a bed and making a little campsite in the park. We can deal with that. But people that are just sitting on the bench with their, with all their stuff piled up next to them, not camping, not necessarily something that we can't go and make those people leave. What I would encourage that neighborhood to do, and when we met with that group, we also met with Ann Willman from CARD, and she was going to address some of the lighting issues there. On my end, I addressed that by having our patrol officers and encouraging them to give that park more attention. I've gone down there a number of times myself. I went down there and had lunch one day, just increasing that presence. And then the third thing that I asked the neighbors to do was to use the park to let people know this is still our neighborhood, still our park. We're not just going to decide that it's just not, we're going to let them have it. We want to actually go out and continue to use those things that we all paid for as a community to have in our neighborhoods. And so when we have some of these problems, I just want to encourage people to let us know what the problem is. We'll do our best to address it, but please don't give up on that space.
And will the new ordinance have some impact on some of those?
Yeah, well, I want to touch upon a couple of things real quick. So yes, the new ordinance, the offenses against waterways that passed the council a few meetings ago will have an impact, particularly as it relates to the Civic Center, which is the downtown corridor of downtown park, the council chamber and the municipal building, that whole area. But also, I think significantly for the community is the waterways component, which will allow us then to take some action and clean up our creeks, which need to be cleaned up, not only for environmental concerns, but also that is often the base in which the criminal element utilized then to go burglarize homes. This school has seen impacts with the creek, I know, specifically. And this new ordinance that, like I said, the council passed will have an impact, give our officers the tools to better effectively deal with some of those issues. The other thing I'm going to have Scott talk about is SEPTED, crime prevention through environmental design, because that's another key component of problem solving, and we have some news to relate to that.
So what the chief is referring to, crime prevention for environmental design, it's a concept that is trained that allows an individual to go to a residence or a building or a complex or a park or any area in our community and determine what factors in that environment, whether it be construction or whether it be bushes blocking windows, things of that nature, lighting. That trained officer can do a very comprehensive study of factors that could reduce crime in that area with improvements. So I will be getting my community service officer, Ed Nelson, and he will be trained in crime prevention through environmental design. It'll be a great service to the citizens who request that service. They will be provided a report on the property that they're concerned about, and that report will contain information on corrective measures that they could take. Some could be expensive, some could be very cheap, some could just consist of chopping a bush down or putting a lock on a gate. But that service will be available as Ed Nelson comes to our team and we're able to deploy him in that manner. I just need to create the structure to allow him to be able to go out and do it in a manner that wouldn't overwhelm our resources. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of requests. Business, residential, and there will be areas of the city that you would be able to evaluate as well.
I'm the director of the Habitat for Humanity Restore, which is down on Myers Street. And we've had 3 incidences in the last few months. Twice our fence was peeled back and people went into our backyard and stole merchandise from us. We also had a truck come and steal somewhere around 1,000 gallons of water from us. I don't know if anybody else has had issues with that, but it was obvious that someone had backed up a truck to our spigot and hooked it up, and our water usage was about 1,000 gallons over what it usually would be during that time. And my main question is are you guys doing any patrols in that area? And if not, is that something that's possible?
We are, but and again, the value of hearing what these issues are that you guys are experiencing, we need to be able to direct our resources where they're needed. I'm sure we get officers out there, but unless they know there's a specific problem, they won't know to go by your place and look for any signs of vandalism, someone stealing water. That's the first time I've heard that. That's, wow. But we need to hear from people like you, business owners, residential folks, what's going on so then we can direct resources appropriately. This stuff obviously is occurring in the middle of the night. We have officers deployed 24/7, and we can get those special patrols out when we know about a specific problem. So that's part of that communication piece I was talking about. It is important for us to hear this so then we can do something about it.
Hi, I work down at Washio Catering, which is a few blocks south of here, and we've had, we've spent thousands and thousands of dollars dealing with vandalism. My question is, we're interested in a security camera system at this point, since there's really no other resource that we have. What's an inexpensive yet useful in that, you probably see lots of bad quality video, I'm sure. And there's some good stuff too. Where do you send someone to get some consulting on that?
Again, that would be another component of my SEPTED officer. He'll be up to date on the latest technology that would be available for citizens to use for surveillance. To throw it out there personally, I use DropCam.
Thank you.
I like surveillance that records in HD, that has infrared capabilities, and that uploads to a cloud and is stored for at least 7 days. That way, if there is a crime, we can come back and that information can be mined very easily from that cloud base. So, with that in mind, the options are open, but like I said, the SEPTED officer will be up to date on the most modern technology and different price ranges in the future when it comes to my team.
Would you call it?
Thank you.
Would you call it again?
The camera? Oh, it's DropCam, but I'm not paid by DropCam. I just use it at home. I really like it.
Okay, but I also know the NORD corridor is looking at some surveillance issues as well. Could that be helpful at all?
And things like these, hearing this, I hear surveillance a lot. What kind of surveillance can I use? What's most inexpensive? What's good for the police to see? What is easiest for us to use? This is good because I can research that and I can put that out in a message. Social media, Nextdoor, any other press release or however we want to approach that. But that's information that we can research and get out to you. very easily. So that's something I'll take back with me today. Thank
You
you.
can do it through the chamber as well, get that information out to business owners from next door. All those things we'll look at disseminating those kind of
Pieces of information through those different communication mechanisms.
I have a next door neighbor family, and they've had break-ins on their cars because they park on the street. And I have a what do you call it, motion sensor light out front, so he likes to park in front of my house, which is fine with me because my garage is in the back. But that's sad that he has to seek protection for his car by utilizing monitoring. Do you happen to know what element is doing the car break-ins?
Usually car break-ins are one of two groups. Either it's youthful offenders that aren't very sophisticated, they smash a window, they see something, and that's another component we haven't really talked about is the educational piece. Don't leave things in your car of value, that's important. And we'll continue those kind of messaging opportunities when they arise. But typically it's the very young or those that are riding around on bikes, they're addicted to drugs, they're up at all hours, and they're looking for a quick, easy theft. And there's nothing easier than driving by a car in the middle of the night, see something of value, smash the window and go in and take it. So it is important that we don't leave valuables in cars. That is certainly something that we would caution people about. But typically it's going to be the youthful offenders and those that are addicted to drugs that are looking for a quick steal.
Chief, when you also add that it's even the perception that it's in the value, because if it's just a backpack with nothing in it, they don't know there's nothing in it, so they're gonna take it anyway, and so it's, I would say it's recommended.
They don't know. They don't know, but if they see something that is at least potentially valuable, they're going to go in and typically break in, at least look at it.
In Rome, the problem was so bad that people decided, the populace decided the best thing to do was to leave the cars unlocked, and they took everything out of the car. So all the cars on the street had nothing in them.
So I would agree with the taking everything out. I'm not sure I'm ready to advocate not locking your car because maybe it's a car thief then that will lock in and take your car. Pick your poison. But as far as not leaving valuables in plain sight, absolutely, that is a wise and smart move.
We have a question right here.
Hello, my name's Jerry Blessing.
Hello.
I have Show Love Thrift Shop on 14th and Park, and I've been here 4 years. Something just recently happened to me there where it was a man really messed up on drugs that damaged my car, which I was parked right outside on the side of 14th by the dumpster. Damaged my car and he was just totally out of it. Well, he did get arrested. They called the police. They took 3 police cars, then the van came because he was damaging the police car as well. But the sad part to me was that the very next week he was out and I heard a block down at the Jesus Center just causing a huge disturbance again. And it's just sad. I mean, I just don't know what do you do about something like that. It just gets right back out again.
And that is a real issue, and I talked about the effects of AB 109 and Prop 47 and all that, and that's the hand that we've been dealt. So it doesn't do me any good crying about that and complaining. We do, as a member of Cal Chiefs, address that legislatively at the state level, but I, as your police chief, have to address it locally with what we have. So those are challenging issues. We look for every opportunity, like I said, to mitigate problems, either through the criminal justice system if it allows it, or through other means. Maybe that person is mentally ill. I suspect either it's that or he's a drug addict, and find ways to get treatment so then he doesn't become a burden, because we can't solve everything with arrest. I mean, clearly he needed to go to jail, but the reality is he's probably not going to be kept. So what other mechanism can we utilize that's at our disposal that may impact that problem. And that's the thinking of community policing, is finding those other avenues other than just traditional arrest to impact the problem. And I'm not going to say it's easy, I'm not going to say we have all the answers, but we are looking at everything possible to mitigate those problems. Because we know it's impacting everyone, and everyone probably in here has been impacted by something similar to that. Otherwise, I don't think you guys would be here.
Well, let me just say this, though, we help a lot of, we probably help about 300 people a month around that, and that's with free things or just someone needs a blanket or a coat or whatever, but, and so it's not the norm that we have that, but my issue with it was, when they get arrested, can they not be evaluated somehow and then sent to a hospital?
One of the most exciting parts of my job is finding solutions to these problems and recognizing the resources that can help me accomplish some of these goals. And we're talking about mentally ill, we're talking about drug addicts, and the two go hand in hand, okay? So there's a lot of resources available within the community. Up until very recently, we didn't communicate as well as we should have. But we have been. And we are in the beginning stages of looking at different processes that we can involve some of these people, habitual offenders in. We're at the stage where we've identified resources and identified habitual offenders. Now we're looking at ways to mitigate their behavior, either through the court system, through the jail. And the jail has a very good alternative custody supervision program going on with Captain Andy Duke, Sheriff Coney. I could get into that, but Chico PD is trying to collaborate more with the jail and that program and identify individuals who may be suitable for rehabilitation. And on their release, we would be able to facilitate delivery to that program or mentor them through the program. We're thinking very long-term here, but bigger picture. So aside from just being enforcers and going out and taking people to jail, well, we know that doesn't work anymore. So finding those solutions and working with groups like Stairways Recovery, who now has a mental health grant to take individuals from us with a crisis intervention team that will come out to where we're at, interview that individual and see if they're suitable for their program, give them a bed, start giving them treatment, identifying their needs immediately. Not in the long term, but immediately. So that's a good tool that we can start to use. But like I said, I mean, the resources that go into just one person are astronomical. So once we identify a structure, we can start to pare down the resources and make it more efficient. But we're in the beginning stages of identifying processes that would address those issues.
So the easy way to describe that is creating like a dirty dozen list, those that are really impacting our community and swallowing up a large number of resources, causing a number of issues and concerns. If we get a handle on some of those frequent flyer folks, I think we'll have a pretty successful impact on some of that crime.
Should we take a picture of them, or is that something you guys want to do? Because we don't.
It would be helpful, but don't put yourself in jeopardy, meaning if there's someone unstable, we don't want you taking out your phone and then saying, smile, and then have that person come and retaliate against you, so you have to be very careful about that.
I mean, we are fairly well aware of individuals that are causing problems in the community, whether they be homeless, whether they be home, I mean, whether they have residence, whatever. And that's how we build our offender list, is from calls for service. We're able to mine that data out of our CAD system. I did say once that there's a handful of people causing hundreds of problems, and there is a criminal element within the homeless community. And I'm not blanking saying homeless are creating crime. There's a criminal element. They prey on homeless, they prey on the citizens living here. And those are the individuals that we are looking at as part of that list of offenders that we could potentially get resources for.
Honestly, the amount of people we have over 1 in 200 that are causing any problems. But this one man, clearly I was afraid for my life.
It's amazing how much harm one individual can do to a community. One individual can do an awful lot of damage.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Juan. I work with my family in a food truck, and so I also deal with, the problem with homeless people and, disturbing my customers. Now, the question is, I've never really known what to do in situations like that. What do you guys recommend on how to handle that? Because besides asking to leave and then cussing me out, I don't really know what to do.
So first, what's your food truck?
That's Gordo Burrito, so I think
Oh, that's a good one. So a little point for him. Gordo Burrito. And so I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Oh, so I'm just kind of, what are the steps to maybe avoid them or have them leave? What do I do besides ask them to leave and then yell at me? So.
Well, if you want someone to leave your property, you have a right to do so as a property owner. If they don't leave, you can call us. Obviously, if they're not causing a significant disturbance, it may take us a while to get an officer there, but we'll certainly respond and then have them vacate your property. I would just, if you want someone, just politely ask them. If they're hanging out and they've exceeded whatever you think is an appropriate amount of time, just politely ask them to leave. Don't engage them in some kind of argument or try to force them. You can call us. If they're not willing to leave, you can call us and we'll come out there and we'll deal with them.
Thank you.
Remember, Gordo Burrito.
Hi, my name is Hillary, and I am I am the steward of the Little Free Library at Rotary Park. Thank you. I'm also part of the Harbor Neighborhood Association. I apologize for being late. I just found out about it at 4 and had my grades set, so there you go. Couple of things, because I'm sorry, I missed the beginning. About Rotary Park, I just have one of the things, and I want to thank the city very much for doing, is I asked Pete to go ahead. We're having a terrible bathroom problem in the alley, because it's kind of a dead end there. And they came in and they cleaned up all of the old abandonment that was there, and it has just made a tremendous difference. So one of the things I just want to recommend is just it has really helped. And then I walk my dog there every night and I kind of check, and it's just been amazing. So dark, dank places that are kind of just like really inviting or a little private has really helped. So I thank everybody for helping us do that. We also had a nice meeting with the police and from CARD, etc. And it really helped. We kind of put little eyes on it, and it really made a big difference. It made it not quite so comfortable. Like there's no smoking in the park, so just simply enforcing no smoking, things like that, without burning the police all the time. Certainly, somebody smoking a cigarette is not the same, and kind of getting the families to come back again, and that's been a really big help. I also live across the street from the Catalyst house, so I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So one of the issues, and I was actually going to have a conversation with Mark and Maria, because that house is still at least 60 to 90 days before it's going to be up on the open market. And there's a real inaccessible area that's roofed over there. So I don't know, I mean, one of my thoughts is, that I was actually going to correct with this, is I think that the fence should be removed, at least on the alley side, and then ask for patrols to go by. Because without going behind the fence, and I'm not really necessarily, I've gone there before, like including my couch cushions or something like that, but I'm not really comfortable to put myself in that kind of a situation. So I would think.
I drive down the alley every day, I call all the time, I live.
And you see people going back there, but you can't really get back there without. So if it wasn't there, I think it would be much easier for police to patrol that area, to kind of like regularly go down that alley, as well as us neighbors, where they're walking all the time, and then see people in that area. So that is a thought that I don't necessarily plan to introduce here, but I was gonna, put that out there.
Yeah, I'll be frank, I wasn't really aware that was a significant problem there, I'll be honest, but
40 people at a time.
we'll have Scott's guys take a look at that, and I think because it's city property, if their recommendation is to remove the fence so that we can see in, I mean, typically the people are looking for a place where they can be hidden, and if we don't need to have the fence, then maybe we can just take it out.
You are an expert.
So, like we said, we like to stick to our time frame, which we committed to an hour, and we're right at an hour because we'd like to let the police officers go back to their jobs as well as you back to your businesses. But again, we want to thank all of you. Thank you again very much for coming. Thank you, Chico Country Day. If you did not speak up, or you didn't feel comfortable, or you didn't want to say it out loud, please write it down on the surveys. We do look at them, we do use them, we forward them on. So please take that, use that tool. You can leave them on the back table. If you want to mail it in to us or call us and email it to us, you can do that as well. But again, we just want to thank you for taking your time. This is really helpful, really beneficial. We've seen great progress from doing these. So again, and as business owners and community members, I live in Barber, I live on 21st. I'm a part of the Facebook community. I watch what goes on. Connectivity among, your neighborhoods, your business community. That's one of the great things we've seen on North Avenue. They created a closed Facebook page among their business owners. So they're watching out for each other. They're communicating when they see things. And then they're multiply, responding or forwarding that on to the appropriate people. So I encourage you to do that as well. And like the chief said, this is a community effort. And so again, thank you very much.
Oh yeah, I got it. Thank you. Will you be at the next one?
Probably.
Okay.
We're working on the process.
Exactly.